What's the most impressive feat of athleticism you've ever accomplished? Jack was always an athletic guy. He played multiple sports in high school and continued to stay active throughout his college years. But it wasn't until his senior year that he discovered his true passion, parkour. One beautiful Saturday morning in late October, Jack set out to run around the lake near his campus. This lake was known for its challenging terrain. There were steep hills, rocky paths, and even a few narrow bridges to cross. But Jack had a different challenge in mind. He had recently become interested in parkour, and he wanted to combine his love of running with his new skills. As Jack ran around the lake, he climbed over rocks, jumped over fallen trees, and balanced on narrow ledges. He moved through the environment with effortless grace, never faltering or losing his balance. He even did a few flips and spins off of some of the larger rocks, landing gracefully on the ground. But the most impressive part came when he reached the narrow bridges that spanned the lake. These bridges were only a few feet wide, with no railings to hold onto. Most people would have walked across them slowly and cautiously, but not Jack. He ran across them at full speed, his arms outstretched to maintain his balance. I watched from a distance, holding my breath as he made it across each bridge, waiting for him to slip or stumble. But he never did. He made it across all 3 bridges in record time. And when he finally reached the end of his run, he collapsed onto the ground, panting and sweating, but with a huge grin on his face. After his impressive run around the lake, Jack became even more interested in parkour. He started attending local parkour classes and practicing with a group of like-minded athletes. He spent hours each day working on his technique and perfecting his moves. At first, Jack's friends and family were a bit skeptical of his newfound hobby. They thought it was dangerous and that he might hurt himself. But Jack was determined to prove them wrong. He continued to train hard, and soon his skills began to attract attention. One day, Jack was approached by a local parkour team who had heard about his impressive run around the lake. They invited him to join their team and compete in some upcoming competitions. Jack eagerly accepted the offer. Over the next few months, Jack trained with the parkour team and honed his skills even further. He learned new moves and techniques and became more confident in his abilities. He competed in several local competitions and placed well in all of them. But Jack's greatest challenge was yet to come. One day, he heard about an upcoming parkour competition that was being held in a nearby city. It was one of the biggest competitions in the region, and the best parkour athletes from all over were expected to compete. Jack knew that this would be his chance to prove himself on a bigger stage. He trained harder than ever before, pushing himself to his limits. Finally, the day of the competition arrived. Jack was nervous but excited. He had never competed at this level before, and he didn't know what to expect. But he was determined to give it his all. The competition was fierce. There were dozens of athletes competing, each one trying to outdo the others with their moves and techniques. But Jack was ready. He ran, jumped, and climbed his way through the course, using his skills and agility to navigate through the obstacles with ease. The crowd was cheering him on as he approached the final obstacle, a towering wall that seemed impossible to climb. But Jack didn't hesitate. He ran towards the wall and launched himself upwards, grabbing onto a small ledge at the top. With a grunt of effort, Jack pulled himself up and over the wall, landing on the other side with a triumphant shout. The crowd erupted into cheers as Jack stood up, panting and sweating but with a huge grin on his face. He had completed the course in record time and had come in first place. From that day on, Jack was known as one of the best parkour athletes in the region. He continued to compete and inspire others with his skills and dedication. But he also faced his fair share of challenges. One day, while practicing a particularly difficult move, Jack fell and injured his ankle. It was a bad sprain, and the doctor told him he would need to rest for several weeks. Jack was devastated. He had worked so hard to get to where he was, and now he was being forced to sit on the sidelines. But Jack didn't give up. He used his time off to study parkour even more, reading books and watching videos to improve his technique. He also focused on his physical therapy, doing everything he could to speed up his recovery. Eventually, Jack was back on his feet and stronger than ever. He continued to compete in parkour competitions and even began teaching parkour to others. He loved sharing his passion with others and seeing the joy and excitement on their faces when they accomplished a new move. Looking back on his journey, Jack knew that his run around the lake was just the beginning. It was the moment when he discovered his love of parkour and realized that he had a natural talent for it. But it was the years of hard work and dedication that followed that truly made him a great athlete. Jack's story is a reminder that no matter what challenges we face, with hard work and perseverance, we can overcome them and achieve great things. Whether it's running around a lake or scaling a towering wall, we all have the potential to be impressive athletes. TL. Drive. Jack, an athletic college student, discovered parkour and combined it with his love of running to perform an impressive feat of athleticism, a run around a challenging lake terrain. He trained hard, joined a parkour team, competed in local competitions, and eventually won a regional parkour competition. Despite facing challenges such as injury, Jack persevered and continued to improve his skills, eventually teaching others parkour. Jack's story is a reminder of the power of hard work and dedication to achieve great things in athletics.